Alright, so first you'll want to go to discord.com developers applications, hit new application, and create a bot. I've created this slash commands bot with a simple Bart Simpson profile picture. You don't really have to do anything on the general information page. You could set this up however you want. The real bread and butter is in OAuth 2 and bot. So go to OAuth 2, set this. I set up in-app authorization. If you have a different method, select that. I checked bot, and then I gave it very specific permissions because I only want this to use slash commands. So I set these permissions, and this one is the most important. If you're going to use slash commands and do nothing else, this is all you need checked. But of course, we want this to send text and interact with the user. And then to generate the URL that actually invites the bot, you need to select bot and set your permissions here. So I'm just going to turn on 2 of them and hit copy and then paste it into your URL just like you're inviting someone else's bot to your server. And it will say external application wants to join, invite it to your server, allow it in, and he will appear right here with your bots. Now that we have that, we'll go to the bot screen and hit reset token, and you will say yes, and it may ask for a multi-factor token. Just enter that, and it will give you this long string of characters that you need to put in a secure place for your bot. And listen, if you're just running this local, it's cool if you put it in a variable, but if you're running this, on a production level, other people are going to be using it. Put it in a secure place like a key vault or an environment variable on your server, just somewhere that people can't publicly access it. I'll show you what I do in my code. So I've set up here the bot py with the imports because that's boring. All you'll really need is import Discord, and from Discord import app commands. You don't need these other two. That is how I manage my token. So inside of this .env file, I have set my Discord token, and in the root of my repository, I put in the get ignore .env. So I don't upload it publicly because I only run these local. These are just for you guys to see a demo and learn about bots. So these are not production. That's all I really need. But enough rambling about the token. Set it however you can, and we will move on from there. We need to set up our Discord client. So say client equals Discord client and pass in intents. Now, we haven't actually set our intents yet. So you could just set your intents to Discord's default, which is Discord intents dot default, and it is a method, so do that. Then we'll put our intents in here, and our client is set up. Now we need to set our tree for our commands. Now this is just a command tree. Basically, it's just what commands are associated with my bot. So we say app commands, I believe it's tree. No, it's command tree, that's right. And in here we'll say client. We put our client in there so that it associates the client with this command tree. And if you're ever curious about what these do or feel like I don't explain it well enough, just hover it, and it does have a little tooltip on each of these. So now we'll need to set a client event. This is the only time we're really going to use this one. So now we'll just say def on ready. Make sure these are asynchronous. And I like to say that bot is running. And here we will try to sync the tree. We actually need to say await tree sync and then catch any exceptions. So catch, I'm sorry, I'm a C# developer during the day. Exception as E. We're just going to print E. Now, generally, I'm going to show you later what you should do with this if this is going to be in production. But generally, you don't want to sync your commands on ready. You could get rate limited, and we don't want that because that could just affect how your bot runs, and it's just a hassle to deal with. So generally you don't do this. I'll show you later after we go over slash commands. So now we're going to set up our first command. We want to say tree command name equals, we're going to call this one hello. And then underneath, just like the client event above, we're going to set up hello. And now there's a parameter you should pass into every command if you're going to basically use the command. If the command's useless, then don't put this in there. But otherwise, you'll want to say interaction and then explicitly set it to Discord integration. Now, you don't have to do the explicit set because Discord can automatically tell that this is an interaction once we start using it, but it just helps to be explicit rather than implicit. Now, we can run whatever in here, but we could say interaction, response, send message. IntelliSense isn't picking this up for some reason. And here we can set up our F string. So I'm going to say, hey, I believe interaction has a user. Correct. Yeah, you can mention the user just like that. And say this is a slash command. And just like that, we have our first slash command set up within the bot. And before we run the bot's test run, we're going to say client run with token equals whatever you set your token to, so that the bot actually knows how to run. So we can run down here and we see the success on ready, and we can look in our server and here's slash commands guy working successfully. You can see I kind of tested one out here. So we're going to say hello. Hey, and it's censoring my name because I'm using OBS. It says this is a slash command. So our slash command, essentially, you precede it with a slash. There is a way to change that, but we're not going to do that here. You precede it with a slash and can do a lot more than just this with it, as you've seen from other bots. You've probably seen commands where they have a description underneath the name. So we're going to make another command called, we'll call this one speak, because I have an idea of what we're going to do with it. You could say speak, and then app commands describe. And another cool thing is this tooltip right here can show you your arguments that you could pass in. So here's description. You can set the description to whatever it does. So we'll just say, what do you want me to say? Since this will make the bot essentially speak for you. That's what we're going to do. So we're going to say interaction equals our Discord interaction. Come on now. And then we're going to actually pass in an argument. You can actually call this whatever you want. We can say thing to say. What do you want me to say? And we will set that in here. Now, what this is essentially the describe is describing your parameters, right? So this is a string, and we're basically, you'll see what I mean whenever we get here. So we'll say interaction response, send message yet again, and then we will say interaction user name said, and then we will include thing to say, right? That's very simple. And let me show you what I mean. We left our bot running, so Control C in the program. Bot is running. Okay, so here it takes a minute for it to sync sometimes, so we may get an error. But you see, if I press spacebar after typing speak, we get a little description right here. Thing to say. What do you want me to say? Now, what do we want him to say? Hello world is what we'll get him to say. And it says, I said hello world. Notice it didn't censor this because this is not a mention. This is just a type out of my Discord username. So that is just a taste of what you could do with slash commands. And before we get done, I'm going to show you what I promised earlier, what you should do instead of syncing your tree within the onReady. So I went ahead and just copy pasted this from my GitHub link in the description, where you can find all of this code, and you can also find a template to build bots on. But you see, we set up tree command name sync, and this is the description I was talking about earlier, right? It'll show up whenever you type it out and you're just browsing for the command, not a parameter. So this is a sync And this should only be able to be run by you. So that's what this check here is for. If the user ID is your ID, which you could set as a constant, or again, store where your token is in a secure place so that it's not stolen and nobody can imitate you. But if the user ID is you, then it will sync. And you want to do this because you don't want rate limits, number one. And number two, you want to be in control of basically syncing all of your commands at once to the bot. So if you create a new command, then the user is not in control of when that's sent out. You are. Essentially, that's how updates are pushed out and stuff like that. And if you want to specify what server you want this upgraded in, you can specify the guild and input the guild ID within sync. Otherwise, it's just going to sync every single guild that this is installed in, which is usually ideal. And we'll say else send this message to the person so that nobody can use this except you. And that is all there is to building a bot with slash commands. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you found it valuable, be sure to leave a like and subscribe because that helps my channel. Until next time, keep on coding.